Is it a week to pick all the stars on the PGA Tour, or will we keep seeing long shots galore? The Memorial Tournament always brings out superstar power, but does that mean we're actually going to get superstar results? We are so glad to have Jason Sobel from XM Radio, PGA Tour, BetMGM here. I'm just going to be an innocent bystander, Jason, while you and this other dude just talk and just rib each other. How about that?
Who is this other guy anyway? I did not sign on to do anything with this. Ben Everill?
Ben
I
Everill.
don't know.
Let's go, Sobes. It's great to be back with you, mate. People who don't know, Sobes and I were, crack podcast duo for a couple of years for a while there, picking winners every week. Did we ever miss, Sobes? I don't think we ever got it wrong.
Maybe once. And by the way, Benny, I commend you for showing up to work today. I know you're still hot and bothered after that Cam Davis, Adam Scott, U.S. Open qualifying.
He was texting about it.
Night. Oh man, he was.
That was
so
intense, though.
That is.
Can you imagine?
That is like Ben's dream come true to see the two of them playing extra golf with each other.
What about that, though? Cam Davis's hero growing up, literally his hero, Adam Scott, talked about it openly at the President's Cup when they were teammates a couple of years back. And then he has to go out and effectively maybe stop the streak of 91 straight majors for his hero, which he did with some incredible play. Like, to make that putt after Adam Scott chips in on the first playoff hole to then stones and make that putt. Well done, Cam Davis. Deserves a spot there at Pinehurst. And hopefully, maybe Adam Scott can still sneak in either as 60th guy in the world, not playing this week, so that'll be tough, or as the alternate. Maybe he'll get in as the alternate.
Benny, that's almost as if you beat me in a playoff. Just beating your hero, it can't feel good.
Yeah, that sucks. It just really would suck, yeah.
I can already tell it's going to be a great show. We'll not make it an Australian roundtable today, we promise. Guys, we've got to start at the top with the chalk that Ben and I like to call it. And I was looking at this earlier, Jason, and the fact that we finally have 3 players under 10-1 odds when it was really just Scotty that way about a month ago. All of a sudden, here's Xander Schauffele, and everybody loves Colin Morikawa too.
Yeah, look, Chris, there were some good things, some positives and some negatives about Scotty Scheffler playing so well over the last few months. The negative was very obvious that it wasn't as much fun betting golf outrights because you didn't want to bet Scotty at such a short number, but you also didn't want to fade Scotty. You didn't want to bet against him, so you're kind of limited on your options on the other side because you think, well, he's probably going to win. That's why he's so short. And so it took a lot of the fun out of it. One of the positives, though, is that we seem to get better numbers, better prices on a lot of the other good players out there. Now, I feel like, boy, I certainly, would not say anything about the traders at BetMGM, but boy, they could have been a little nicer at the top this week because these guys are bunched right near the top of this thing.
Too short to bet, too good to fade, right? It's really, really a bugger of a situation. I mean, Scheffler, as you know, he dominated this place a year ago, except for on the greens where he was dead last on the greens, and that meant that he was unable to close the deal essentially when I've never seen anyone hit it like he did there at Memorial last year. It's an interesting phenomenon. Like you said, you do get some nuggets, but because of what Schauffele's just done, and because of Morikawa's form coming back, are you really getting value on those guys right now? I don't know. I feel like, but I do think this, and you mentioned at the start, Chris, this is where the stars tonight. What do we do about the stars? It's going to be a name that wins this week. Millfield Village has become a place for the stars, and before you throw Dirty McGurdy at me or David Lingmerth, who won a couple of years ago, that's changed. I'm convinced that's changed. We're not going to get the super long shot win here for a long time, especially since now it's a signature event and the field is even more stacked. I don't know what you think, Sobes.
Yeah, if I can interject here, Benny. Last 6 years, I've got the numbers. Victor Hovland last year, he was 20-1 pre-tournament. The year before, Billy Horschel, 60-1. Patrick Cantley, 20-1. John Rahm, 20-1. Cantley again was 14-1 back in 19, and Bryson DeChambeau was 40-1. So you haven't had those big guys, those big triple-digit numbers since 2015 and 16, as you mentioned. Lingmerth and McGirt those years. Even Jason Duffner, I believe, was only about 60-1 back in 2017, if we go back just a little bit more. And remember, many of those were full field events, or at least mostly full field events at the Memorial Tournament. I counted 73 players, I believe, in this week's event. So with fewer players in the field, you're not, first of all, getting as many big long shots as you normally do. And secondly, Boy, it's going to be hard to find someone of that pack to beat those guys. So yeah, I am starting the card this week. Maybe not right at the top, but with that top tier.
So and even those guys that you mentioned that won at 40-1, like we're talking guys that turned into major winners or won a FedEx Cup or did something, like Horschel was a FedEx Cup winner. I know that that's not huge to a lot of people, but it is to him. And that week he was at his absolute peak at Memorial. He hit the ball so well there, tee to green, that it would have been tough for anyone to beat him how well he played that particular week. So yeah, you're going to get players with some gravitas come to the top this week.
Jason, you're going to find that Ben and I are slowly being converted to true Scotty believers. And what I mean by that is, when he was winning 4 out of 5 or whatever it was a month and a half ago, we both said he's going to cool down massively. I still think he's going to cool down, and he technically has because he hasn't won his last 2 starts. I guess that's cooling down. But I don't see any reason to expect Scotty Scheffler to not be on this leaderboard by Sunday. I want to find a reason for him not to. He's playing so well. Throw the baby stuff out the window. He clearly is not letting it affect him that much. I don't see Scheffler off the first page of the leaderboard on Sunday. I just don't.
No, I think it would be pretty tough to find him there. Now, BetMGM does have winner without Scotty Scheffler market this week, which I think is pretty intriguing if you can get a decent number on somebody that you like and just take Scheffler out of the mix altogether. If you're looking for Scotty Scheffler placement bets, boy, minus 155 to finish in the top 5 this week, minus 350 for a top 10.
Crazy.
I have maintained over the last 2 years or so, Chris, that for as great as Scotty Scheffler's ceiling is, his floor might be higher. And what I mean by that, to the folks who are out there that don't follow golf betting from a religious type of standpoint like we do, the ceiling is, can he win? And yes, we all know Scotty Scheffler can win. But the floor is, if he's got his B game, if he doesn't have his best stuff, where is he going to finish?
In the top 10.
I agree with you. It's just not going to be that far down the leaderboard.
I've got to go here. This is a humbling week for me because I've been the guy at Golfbet who all year has been fade Scheffler train. I've been I started with saying he didn't have a killer instinct. He was a great player, but he couldn't necessarily get it done in head-to-head fashion or from behind in adversity. Right after that, he came from 5 behind to win the Arnold Palmer Invitational and the Players.
All takes exposed.
So, let's go ahead and reveal it, Ben. Go ahead and reveal it.
Yeah. So, but now look, I'm on the train. I can't believe it. I'm on the Scotty Scheffler train this week. I hate the number. I would never, ever advocate getting on at plus 350 pre-tournament for anyone except maybe peak Tiger Woods back in the day where you were getting plus 100 and he'd go on and win. But I will say, I think that Scheffler will be in the mix. I think that he probably does win this tournament. I'm just hopeful for you guys out there to wait on the live betting fluctuations. Try to find the high point. Jump on him when you think that might be. Maybe he starts in the afternoon wave and someone gets out an early start and you get 400 or 450 or whatever you can think of getting. That's where I think you've got to look to get onto Scotty Scheffler. But yeah, look, I told everyone reasons to fade him at 700 favourite, at 500 favourite.
The number doesn't matter, I guess.
I wrote the column before the PGA listing the 7 reasons why to fade Scotty Scheffler this week. And let's be honest, had he not been arrested, which wasn't one of my pre-tournament things that could happen to go against him, he may have been the champion there at Valhalla.
Look, he had 5 bad holes.
Went. So I'm going to say, get on him now because I'm going to probably jump off the train again next week at the US Open.
Fine.
Hey, one more way, and I'll interject here, guys. One more way that I like, and I tried this with Nelly Korda last week at the U.S. Women's Open. She made a 10 on Thursday. Didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
That said, when you're betting Scotty Scheffler and you look at him, you go, it's a really short number, but I really think he's going to win. What do? Do I just bet the short number? Do I wait and hope that he shoots a 72 in the first round? That number gets higher, but hey, you could go shoot 65 and go wire to wire. So what do? How do you play it? Here's one idea for the people out there. We've got the NHL and NBA playoffs, the finals in each league coming up this week. If you like a specific team, maybe you like the Celtics, they're a favorite in the NBA finals, you go Scotty Scheffler parlayed with the Celtics. If you like, say, the Florida Panthers, who I believe are favored over the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final,
interesting.
Maybe take the Panthers and Scotty Scheffler to win this week. at least it juices that bet up a little bit. So you go, I like Scotty. I think he's going to win, but I hate the plus 350.
Okay, I got one for you, and this will throw everyone out unless you're coming from Australia. But tonight, Sobes, you remember State of Origin.
Oh boy,
New South Wales
are we talking rugby
Get on the
league?
New South Wales Blues. They're outsiders. New South Wales Blues
We're
into
talking
Sheffield this
rugby
week.
league.
There's your parlay.
Benny, no one has any idea what you're talking about right now.
Come on, the Blues.
I promised it wouldn't be an Australian show, Ben.
Yeah, sorry, but that's a huge night for those who do follow the rugby league out of Australia, coming at 3 in my time, so that'll be fun.
Let's talk about Rory McIlroy now. Crazy Rory's never won at Memorial, and if you have to be a big enough golf fan to realize that that's true. Best finish T4 2016, a ton of top 10s, Jason. Is it just not Rory's course? Rory has courses, so to say. Is it not Rory's course, and does that deter you from a guy who really is playing well right now?
Yeah, if you make the comparison, this is almost like Tiger is to Riviera as Rory is to Muirfield Village is your analogy, I guess, from the SATs if you go there. Do I like Rory? Sure. Do I love Rory? Absolutely not. If he's played here 12 times and he's never won, at some point you go, maybe the law of averages says he's going to win, but I'd rather look at it and say it's just not his golf course. For whatever reason, look, just about every golf course is Rory McIlroy's type of golf course because he's that good. He's one of the best players in the world. And that's, I've always thought, what separates the best of the best from the next tier is that the best of the best can win on a 7,500-yard big ballpark, on a 6,800-yard tight short track, and it doesn't really matter because they're the best. I think Rory certainly is firmly entrenched in that category, but there's something about this golf course that it has just held him back a little bit over the years, and for that reason, he's a fade for me this week. Maybe not a full fade if he starts a little slow. We all know Rory, and I hate the term backdoor top 5, backdoor top 10.
But he does it.
Last week in Canada was a little bit of that backdoor top 5 once again. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of those this week, and so he might be a guy you get on later in the week, a Friday or Saturday type play, but no, I'm not starting the card with Rory this week whatsoever.
If he's true to form, though, given that they've slotted this for the first time right before a major, he'll probably win, right? He loves to win right before a major. I'm also with you, though. I'm a fade for Rory this week. I think he really is trying to, I guess, prep himself for next week, trying to really peak then. It's just not been his course, as you mentioned. So, 900 is not enough juice for me to think that Rory's going to fly out of the blocks and change that dynamic. Again,
well, thank goodness, Benny. I was concerned you're going to go Scotty Rory off the top.
1-2.
Picking guys down the. I mean, you can't lose if you do that.
No, and look, you all know. Anyone who's actually watched this knows who I was going to pick until every man and his dog got on him.
And I took some of your tidbits, and I will formally on air apologize for that. I won't do it again. Externally, maybe internally I will.
But I'm going to leave it till we get to it. But I know that both of you are gung ho on a certain player that I am on record saying.
Let's get to
on
it.
Your cards at the Memorial.
Jason, I agree with you. I mean, why pick? Why make reasons? Why choose to ignore things about Colin Morikawa? I was looking for reasons not to pick him. Then I said, wait, that was the Ben mentality at the PGA Championship of finding reasons not to pick Xander Schauffele. I stopped halfway through and I said, what am I doing? Why not pick him?
Exactly, and it goes in line with Schauffele at the PGA Championship just a few weeks ago too. And I like Morikawa for 3 reasons. They're legitimately the only 3 reasons why we do all of this, why we prognosticate, why we try to study and do our research. The first is history, and if you look at his results from the Memorial Tournament, you say, okay, there's a playoff loss back in 2021, but he also won on this golf course. And you won't see, if your research is a little soft this week, you won't notice that he won the Workday Charity Open back in 2020 on this very golf course. Remember, that was during COVID. They played back-to-back weeks. Granted, maybe the course didn't play it as difficult that first week, but it's still the same golf course. Yeah. He's won here. The second reason is form. He finished in a share of 4th place at the PGA Championship, making absolutely nothing on Sunday. If a couple of his putts find the bottom of the cup, he's going to give a little bit more of a charge, throwing some more pressure at Xander Schauffele down the stretch. Came back the next week, finished 4th at Colonial, so coming off a couple of top 5 finishes. And then the last reason, it's karma. Last year, as you might recall, Colin Morikawa was 2 shots back going into the final round. But again, you do that soft research, you find that he withdrew from the golf tournament. That's because he had back spasms during his pre-round warm-up, couldn't go out and play. He may have been primed to win this golf tournament 1 year ago. The golf gods are not always benevolent, but they understand a good storyline when they see one, and hopefully they hop on the Colin Morikawa storyline this week, Chris.
I want to argue with you, but as I said, it's
you
been
can't.
my pick. It was my pick. He was my pick to win, literally straight out of the PGA when he was diabolically poor, as you said, on the greens in that final round. The biggest disappointment, really, in that whole final round was the only guy that never really got anything going, and I thought he was going to win from where he was on Saturday night. He was talking the talk. Everything was there. I expected that he'd have a little bit of a down, a down week there at the Colonial, not right afterwards, but that he would pick back up for this event. And I'm going to throw ahead, Chris. I know you'll probably have to change the screen here, but my best bet is actually him in the without Scheffler market.
Yeah,
you're only giving up plus 200, so you're getting plus 1,000 instead of the 1,200. This is where I think you should jump on Colin Morikawa. You're not losing too much of that juice. I wish both numbers were higher, obviously, but if you take Scheffler completely out of the mix, Morikawa to me is the clear favourite in this event, even though he's behind Schauffele and behind Rory. I would have Morikawa as my favourite if Scheffler was not in this event. So I'm with you on all those reasons that you mentioned, Sobes. I hate having to agree with you so often because it's much more fun when we can disagree. But everything is trending towards him having a big week. And I think that this is more suited to him even than Pinehurst, etc. So I think Morikawa's window for a win is right now.
The fact that you picked him a few weeks ago, jumped off coming into this week, and then I took him and Chris took him, makes me feel so good about this play.
Well, and we can say this about that. Exactly 1 year ago, when you and I were doing our podcast leading into the Memorial, I had said that I wanted to pick Victor Hovland for this event, but then I pushed him out saying, you know what, I'm going to push him out to the US Open. I'm going to push him out to the US Open and have him there. And you came in and were like, nope, let's get him on him right now. And of course, who ended up winning last year? Victor Hovland. So interesting thing, and I think we should maybe even talk about that too. Like, is Victor Hovland back? Are we sleeping on this guy after what he did at the PGA?
It's a great question. I am not sure where to go with Victor Hovland just yet. I do think that he is on the road to being back. I don't know that he's fully back. We used to talk about this in terms of Tiger Woods. Is Tiger back? And everyone would go, I don't know. Like, for some people, as long as he was playing golf and he was making some birdies out there, he was quote unquote back. For others, until he won a major championship, he wasn't quote unquote back. So I don't know what back is for Victor Hovland. I think it depends on who you are and what you consider. Speaking with Victor, and I did speak with him a lot during the PGA Championship a few weeks ago, and speaking with him, I know that it's more of a process for him. This is not going to be flip a light switch. He's like, okay, I got it, playing good again. Don't worry about me, guys. I'm ready to go. This is going to be a lengthy process. He's going to keep tweaking, keep working on things. So I don't think he's quite back just yet, but I think there's a lot more optimism right now than there was before the PGA.
I agree. I was going to say the exact same thing. I don't think it's a one-event switch, one-event fix where all of a sudden Hovland does pretty well at one big event and you think he's back. He probably has some swing demons he's dealing with. He's going to need some time. And just because he has a star status doesn't mean he gets it back in 1 week, Ben. I think a month from now, 2 months from now, if he has 2, 3, 4 good events under him, he might be saying, yeah, Victor Hovland's back and you can start picking him.
I think that I expect him to be there or thereabouts this week. I don't think he's going to defend a title. I don't think anyone except Tiger has defended at this place as well. So that's saying something. But I think he is on the mend, if you will. He's backed with his, a regular swing coach, and things are starting to go the right way for him. So I think that here's what I'll say: if he doesn't have a half decent week, that'll pull him back a few steps. That'll hurt that recovery, right? If he's in the top 15, has a decent week, I think that keeps the building blocks going. But if he has a T45 week, that could hurt his psyche.
We often talk on my SiriusXM PGA Tour radio show, Hitting the Green, 2 o'clock Eastern time, an hour from now, by the way, in case you guys are interested. Talk betting there too.
I'll be there.
Ben, you're on with us a lot. And we often talk, who's the most intriguing player for you this week? Not necessarily your pick to win, not a guy that you're betting on, but just who are you most interested to see play? I think Victor Hovland might be the answer to that question for me this week, because I don't know. I don't know which Victor Hovland is going to show up. And that's usually the answer for me, usually to that intriguing question is, I don't know, the guy could win, the guy could finish in 50th place, and neither one would surprise me that much. And so I think it's him this week that, when I get on PGA Tour Live, I'm going to be watching a lot of Viktor Hovland because I want to see how he's playing.
We're talking about all the stars. It's a good thing if you're watching PGA Tour golf. We got Ben's best bet. It was the Colin Morikawa Juicy plus 1,000 without Scotty Scheffler. What about your best bet here, Jason? A man we start to forget about, really.
I love the top 20 markets in these shortened fields because I believe the traders don't necessarily pull these bets back, pull these numbers back as much as they could with a shortened field. So there are 4 dozen fewer golfers than we had at Muirfield Village just a couple of years ago, and yet there's still a really good number, a plus money number on Max Homa for a top 20. He's finished 5th and 6th the last 2 times he's played Muirfield Village. I feel like we don't tend to look at Max as a big hitter. We don't look at him just because he's not a big guy. I mean, we look at Tony Finau. I love using this one. Tony Finau is a big dude, and we think of him as a big hitter. Tony Finau and Jordan Spieth have had exactly the same driving distance over the last couple of years.
Wow.
And so you don't look
Really?
at Jordan Spieth, and Jordan Spieth's actually gained some speed this year. I gotta check on that. Jordan might be even above Tony right now. So we look at guys in terms of their physical stature, and we say, okay, he's a big hitter or not a big hitter. Point is, we don't look at Max Homa usually as a guy that we go, oh, big hitter, big golf course, he fits, and he should be a guy that we look at this week. But he tends to play some of his best golf on these bigger golf courses, and I think it's going to be a really good week for him. I'm not picking him to win just because I've got to take a few guys. If I'm going to have Colin Morikawa, who's in that top tier, I've got to hedge it with a few guys who are a little bit further back, so I'm not going to have Max in the outright marketplace. But like I said, plus 120 for a top 20, I think is a really nice play on Max this week.
Max showing some form finally in the majors of late too. So
Yeah.
someone to keep an
It's
eye
great
on
to
for
see.
Pinehurst. Yeah.
Like next week.
So my best bet, I had mentioned I stole Ben's nuggets. I stole the Cantlay nugget for expert picks on PGAtour.com. I'm sorry, but Ben, you are spot on. So instead of me saying it, I'll let you talk about why Memorial is exactly like 2 other courses he's played well at this year, and why Patrick Cantlay in the top 10 at 2-1. I love it.
Yeah, you meant Sobes mentioned intriguing players, someone to watch. Here's a guy that is very intriguing this week because, quite frankly, not played well this year. Struggled a bit, definitely not playing well of late. However, he's 2 good results this year at courses where he's had good results in the past. That's the Genesis Invitational at Riviera and the RBC Heritage right after the Masters. Played well there, had his top 10s there this year. And I think that because he's a 2-time winner at Memorial, it could be just another scenario where he's the horse for the course. He could just turn up. He always plays well here, so you're getting juice there. Top 10, despite the fact he's playing terrible. He could, quite frankly, come out of nowhere, so to speak, and make it 3 wins at this joint. At the same time, he could finish T50, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, the 2 times he's played well this year are the 2 places he always plays well. This is possibly his actual course, the one he's best at across all PGA Tour courses.
Benny, I'm with you on being intrigued by Cantlay. I'm not with you on playing him this week. Chris, I know this is your play as well. Just the form has not been there yet this year, and I'm taking a wait-and-see approach to Cantlay. If I'm taking somebody at a similar number this week, it's probably going to be Justin Thomas, not Patrick Cantlay.
Interesting. Justin Thomas, a guy we should look out for. What about your long shot there, Justin or Jason? Talking about all these big names, who's a name we're not talking about?
Yeah, so I've got a few guys around this same number. I picked Keegan Bradley here. I think Keegan's playing so well. That ball striking, he has gained more than nearly a stroke and a half per round with either the driver or the irons over his last 5 starts. That includes a runner-up finish in his last start at Colonial. I think that if Keegan can put it all together, tee to green, boy, he can putt field average. I mean, it's almost like the old Scotty Scheffler thing that we'd say about him. If he just putts average, he's going to win golf tournaments. Keegan is a guy that I love targeting in the outright marketplace because he's won a major. He's won a World Golf Championship event. He's won a signature event. He's won a FedEx Cup playoff event. His best is good enough to beat all the other best players. A couple other guys in this range. I know I can only give you one long shot for the sake of the graphic and the video, but Sahith Theegala at 40-1, I think is a really nice play. And Tony Finau, at some point, I'm just going number hunting on Tony Finau. I don't know if or when he's going to win again, but that number is creeping a little too big for me to ignore any longer.
Well, that's a great throw to me. Put up my long shot, Chrissy boy, because my long shot's also taking on.
You stole mine,
Tony
by the way.
Finau.
You stole this from me. I gave you this idea.
Head-to-head. He's taking on Tony Finau head-to-head this week at BetMGM for the tournament. I've taken Siwoo Kim. I think that he is, again, proven that he's liked the redesign at this course that happened in the last few years. 4 top 20s in a row at Memorial for Siwoo Kim. Huge, desperation in what he can do some weeks, so it's scary when you have him in a head-to-head, especially across 4 rounds, because he's not necessarily the guy who, when he's T21 on Sunday, is going to grind to T15. He may just start shooting at pins, but he can go super low. I think he's gained 1.7 strokes per round. Did we say that yesterday, Chris, on the field in the last 4 starts? Or
Only
5
a few
starts
guys have been better. Yeah.
He is just proven that he loves this course. He hasn't closed it out in terms of winning here, but as I said, 4 top 20s in a row at Memorial. So I think there's a little bit of juice there for a potential Siwoo Kim smash up. And when he gets it on, you talked about Finau or other guys. Like, this is a guy that can go wire to wire and beat everyone on tour if he's absolutely striping it. It's a dangerous prospect. It's a roller coaster ride, but I love me some international team member Siwoo Kim.
And he disappears. He disappears all the time, Jason. And then all of a sudden he wins. You're like, oh, there's Siwoo Kim. There he is.
Yes, but I believe he's got this reputation from a few years back. And look, remember, he won the Players' Championship, I believe, at the age of 21. I mean, he kind of started really quickly and had that big ceiling and had a really low floor. When he wasn't playing well, he really wasn't playing well. You talk about his motivation and, how hard he's trying out there. Over the last year and a half, Siwoo has really raised that floor. And so I'm not as scared of him taking him in matchups and for finishing position bets as I once was, because I think that floor is catching up to the ceiling a little bit in terms of potential for for weekly events.
And that miscut recently, it was at the PGA Championship. His only miscut this whole season, the only one he's had. So there you go. That speaks to what you've just said. He used to have 5 top 10s and 10 missed cuts, but he doesn't do that anymore. He grinds to the end a little bit more than he used to. And again, I'm more about what he's been able to do on that golf, because clearly he likes something about it, that he can continuously put himself in the top 10, top 20. So it becomes a little bit of value there in the long shot market.
Jason, this was fun, man. We got to have you on again soon, definitely in the 2024 season. How about that?
Anytime you want me. You kick Ben off and I'm ready to go, whenever.
I think I think we're obligated to have Ben on. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk to the superiors. How about that?
I'm going to have him stand behind me when we're doing this live next week from the US Open, and Sobes will be there somewhere. We'll just have Sobes behind my shoulder, just chirping in the background, just giving us some good nuggets.
Unless Ben's picks are good. What did you say, Jason?
And by the angel or the devil on his shoulder.
Perfect. You can be both.
The people that know us know that we do try to find the nearest casino at almost every tour stop, and then there could be some big good nights.
That'll be a tough one next week, I think, Benny. We're going to test your skills next week.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.